Hello, and thank you for being with me again. Today I would like to tackle what is quite a difficult topic for a number of people when it comes to talking about spirituality, and that is the relationship between spirituality and religion. As I've mentioned before, I've been in ministry for going on 38 years, so we could call it almost 40 years now. And I've met so many people along the way who would say to me, they believe in God and they like spirituality, but religion not so much. And this is entirely understandable because I think all of us have had our difficult encounter with religion in various forms during the span of our life, and have been perhaps disappointed at what we found in approaching a religion or in being involved with a religion. And so, as I say, this is very understandable, this feeling that you would prefer to not be involved with religion and the people who are engaged in religion. However, we do have to acknowledge that in our spirituality, if there were no religion in the world, we wouldn't have anything like the number of aids to our spiritual growth that we do have. We can take the very scriptures, the accounts of Jesus' life itself wouldn't have come down to us without religion being there to keep them together, to pass them on from one generation to the next, and to keep moving forward. I think where the difficulty comes in is that people have the idea that if someone is religious, they are spiritual, and that's not necessarily the case, and in quite a number of situations is not the case. You see, we have people who approach religion for all sorts of reasons, some for spiritual growth, but a lot out of some sort of feeling of obligation or feeling, well, if that's going to please God and I'm going to be okay after this life because of it, well, then it's worth doing, but without any real spiritual background. And this can be fostered even by some of the ways religion practices its faith, and this gives people some sort of security that they're doing things right because they follow certain practices. And in and of themselves, there's nothing wrong with these practices, and there's nothing wrong with the people either. They're doing their best. The fact is, though, that this way of looking at spirituality and religion does date back to the very beginning of Christianity. And in this case, I'm referring to the account in the 9th chapter of St. Luke's Gospel when Jesus feeds the 5,000. We find something very interesting in that reading, that when Jesus is talking to the people and he nears the end of his teaching, the disciples turn to him and say, evening is coming, send the people away so that they can go to nearby villages to get something to eat and somewhere to stay. Now, this is very like spirituality without religion, to say, well, now the people have some idea, now let each one go and sort himself out. But Jesus doesn't stop there. He says, you give them something to eat. And of course, they turn around and say, well, what are we going to do? This is impossible. We have 5,000 people at least here. We've got 2 fish and 5 loaves. What will we do to feed all these people with so little at our disposal? And then Jesus shows them a very interesting thing, because what's made available to him at that time are those loaves and fishes. And he takes what he has to hand, thanks God for it, and then starts giving that out to the crowd of people, and eventually nourishes everyone. And this is what we are called to in our lives as well, where we might want to stop and say, well, send them all away, each one to find their own way from here. Jesus is saying to us, no, you give them to eat. You see, Christianity is not really about what I can get out of it. It's about what I can help others to gain in their lives, in their spiritual growth. And so this is the challenge, that as we grow spiritually, we're actually required, we're really needed by these communities to be involved with religious communities, because just think, if religion could be more what you would expect it to be, what a great impact it could have on the world. But you see, as long as spiritual people steer clear of religion and leave it up to those who are not necessarily so spiritual, we can only expect that the things that do go wrong will go wrong. And this is our calling as people who are hopefully growing spiritually, to go and help these communities. You see, even though I may consider that what I have to offer is of not great value given the scale of what is before religion and spirituality in the world, to change the mindset of the people that I come into contact with, that I live in the midst of, and so on. God is telling me through the story about the feeding of the 5,000 that my real step is just to take what I do have and to offer that to help others in their growth, to be prepared to accept their misunderstanding, their difficult ways sometimes, and so on, for the sake of helping them to grow spiritually, because the real preaching of the gospel lies in the way you live your life, not in the words you say. So we are called to the service of our community, and we do see that very often when people don't come to church or don't involve themselves with their religious community, they'll often say, but I don't get anything out of it. And as I say, this reflects the world, because the world is made very much along the lines of, what will I get out of this transaction? And we turn our religion into a transactional thing where we are saying, well, if I put myself out to be there, what do I get out of it? And as I said earlier, this is the wrong question. Instead, my question should be, what can I put into it? What can I give to this community in however small way it may seem? And this is your calling. This is what you're put here for. This is why you have spiritual growth, because you have something really valuable to offer, and not to expect that those that you meet in religion will be spiritual and holy people necessarily, but that with your help, they too can grow. The name of religion can improve, and more people can use that avenue as well to grow closer to God. And after all, that's our real growth, when my spirituality is not only about me, but about all of those I come into contact with in my life, and what I can do for them to help them to grow. And in this week, I pray that God will give you the grace to live your spirituality for those around you, to really let it shine through and let it really help them in their lives. And may God bless you. Thank you.